when you have parking.
Before competing head-to-head with each other...
It's only a competition!
And the great British public.
I thought the competition was big enough.
Our chefs are at the mercy of the harshest food critics in the land, the beady-eyed country show judges.
We don't like odd ones.
It's a competition and I'm taking it very seriously.
Hold on to your aprons, it's Country Show Cook-Off. This week, super chefs Ed Baines and Valentine Warner hit the tarmac to compete in some of Britain's most cherished country shows.
Get it up the hill. Pedal to the metal van.
They're cooking up delicious dishes for the mightiest of competitions, taking them from northern to southern England and back. Today they're heading from Stokesley to Nidale. It's not been a high-scoring cook-off so far. Val's ahead with 4 points after pipping Ed to first place with his curried poussin and boozy barbar packed lunch at the Stokesley show.
First. Val! Excellent.
Which leaves Ed lagging behind with 3 points.
Yeah, you beat me.
On day 5, there's only 1 point in it, so it's all to play for. Today, our foodie fellows are heading to Pateley Bridge, in the heart of the Nidale region of North Yorkshire.
It's absolutely stunning where we are. It's really beautiful going through these forests around the dales, and I really love the surroundings.
Shame about the rain. This area of outstanding natural beauty covers over 200 square miles, and the small, picturesque town of Pateley Bridge at its core is the perfect place for a country show.
That is quite overcrowded, I suppose, isn't it?
The Nidale show has origins dating back to the 14th century, but the show as we know it today began in 1895, and now throngs of 20,000 people gather to see and show off the best of their animals, handicrafts and produce, whatever the weather.
The Nidale show is really good for the community. It showcases everything that Nidale's good about, from the sheep to the produce.
Our cooking companion's fifth and final challenge is class 374, which is 4 date and walnut scones. There are no set rules, but as this is a traditional show, the lads should stick to traditional scones. Simple, right? Wrong. Classic categories mean more entries, so they need to be absolutely faultless.
The type of judge I feel I should be classified as is fair.
Judge Julie Clark worked in catering and cooking until retiring 26 years ago, and she's been judging ever since.
Now that is very disappointing in flavour.
So what makes the perfect date and walnut scone for you then, Julie?
A good shape, evenly baked, a good flavour and a good texture.
She knows, you know. And in a scone category, the calibre of competition can be sky high.
I got the recipe from Nidale Lawson, so I thought if it's good enough for her.
Who? It's Ed and Val's last cook-off of the week, and each chef for himself.
It's the jaws of death.
I can't allow myself to be defeated like this.
Growing up on a Dorset farm, shooting and fishing encouraged Valentine Warner's love of food. He's since chefed in some of London's top restaurants, but Val still loves to get out in the great outdoors.
I've got chilblains. I can't feel anything.
Oh, sorry about that, Val. Ed Baines started out in a bakery and worked his way up through some of Britain's best restaurants. Ed now runs his own swanky oyster and champagne bar, and when it comes to competitions, he puts his heart and soul in.
You might tell I'm taking this very, very seriously.
For their final country show cook-off, the lads must each enter 4 fabulous date and walnut scones to truly wow Judge Julie.
They're famous for baking in Yorkshire, and I think the standard's going to be very, very high. They're extremely competitive.
Should we just turn around the van and go home?
Oh, come on, lads. We don't want the locals thinking you're wet. Well, you are.
Falling on my head like a memory. Falling on my head like a new emotion.
This area is known for its good food, not its weather. From award-winning butchers to a Michelin-star restaurant and England's oldest sweet shop, Pateley Bridge is a foodie paradise. So whilst our lads are in the area, they're dropping in on one of Nidale's baking gems.
Hi, Susanna. I'm Ed. Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Susanna. I'm Val.
Hi. Nice to meet you. Do you want to come in?
Yeah, let's go.
Susanna Vickers left her job as a head baker to set up her own mobile bakery service. She now shares her passion, teaching others from hen parties to team building groups how easy it is to make delicious bread from scratch.
So, Susanna, what are you going to show us this morning?
I thought we'd do a really basic recipe using nice local ingredients. It's like a tasty seeded loaf.
Making bread can be time-consuming, but Susanna's trick is using a sponge method, helping the bread to ferment, which she pre-prepared and left overnight.
Put half the flour,
Yeah.
an equal amount of water, and 2/3 of the overall yeast into a mixing bowl.
So you do that before you go to bed, basically, just before you go to
on
bed.
the night before, it takes 2 minutes. Make sure it's all combined. Put a plate over it or cling film or anything, and just leave it.
Leave it.
The next day, all you have to do is throw in the remaining flour and yeast, mixed with water, and add any extra flavours.
And then we've got the mustard, and then just shove the sugar in.
So that's local rapeseed oil.
Yeah, it's from Yorkshire.
So this will give the bread a lovely, kind of luxurious...
Yeah, kind of nice, like kind of spongy sort of
Yeah.
lightness.
Kneading stretches the glutens, making the bread airy and giving it a lovely elasticity.
10 minutes will do it. 5-10 minutes if you've got some decent kneading.
Can you use a dough hook in a machine? Is that acceptable?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Machines are fine, and it's a great way of being able to just get on with other things. I mean, family lives are busy, aren't they?
Susanna, how did you get started? What grabbed you initially about baking?
Well, there was a community project setting up in my town, and I applied for a job as a baker, and then was in charge of running a bakery, and I absolutely loved it.
Which makes her the perfect teacher. Pay attention.
Now it's kind of come together,
Yeah.
and it's kind of got a bit of its elasticity. You
Yeah.
can kind of see there. I'm going to add the salt. Normally you would add the salt right at the end or later stage like this.
So it kills the growth in the yeast, doesn't it?
The
So that's
salt.
essential. Salt toward the end. I love the fact it's not a very long-winded process, is it? I mean, it's been kneading for what, 5 minutes? 5 minutes?
Yeah.
10 minutes? Yeah.
Ed's taking half the mix for a simple cob, leaving Susanna with enough for a tin loaf.
Dead easy way of doing it. Just make a nice flat surface on top. You go top to the middle, bottom to middle, both sides to the middle like that. Fold it over, tuck it in, and tighten it. And you've got a nice...
And that will get a good even rise
Nice
now in the seam
Should do,
on the underside.
The dough is left to rise for about an hour at room temperature, then popped into a hot oven with a water-filled baking tray underneath to create steam. 10 minutes in, release the steam, then 10 minutes later, take the loaf out of the tin and bung it back in for another 5 minutes to brown all over.
Oh, it's a great smell. It has got a beautiful light finish inside, lovely and crispy on the outside. I think everyone's got to give this a go. It's brilliant. It really is.
Oh, you flatterer, but Val's already thinking ahead.
I've heard if you put creme fraiche in them, like a little spoonful of creme fraiche, it makes it really light.
Dipsy.
Nice.
Dogs are.
Really, lads? So, fresh from a cosy Yorkshire kitchen, learning Susanna's tricks of the trade, the boys are now ready to focus on their next challenge.
Purdy, category 374 to enter 4 scones, but date and walnut scones.
Once more into the great unknown.
And Val's strategy is using Susanna's tip.
I'm going to take her advice. She cooked a very nice loaf this morning, so I'm going to put a dollop of creme fraiche into my scone. I've just taken her word for it.
Yeah. Here we go again.
Once again, Ed's playing his cards close to his chest to try to get the edge on Val. Now the lads must set up camp and get baking, ready for the show tomorrow.
Well, Val, this looks like a smashing spot. A great place to park the van. What do you think?
Our culinary buddies are pitching up at Bivouac, a posh camping retreat at a druid's temple in Upper Nidale. As they've parked on a slope, the van's oven's on a tilt, so the lads need to even it out.
What we need to do is level off create a little platform.
This is straight disqualification, I think. You know, for their scones. I mean, they're going to be a disaster.
As Ed's currently losing this week's cook-off by just 1 point, he's giving his scones the wow factor by adding frangelico, a walnut liqueur. Val's using Susanna's creme fraiche idea. Now the van's oven is levelled out, Val's first to step into the breach to make his 4 date and walnut scones.
I'm sifting into the bowl 500 grams of self-raising flour. I've got 100 grams of butter here. So I'm pinching the flour with my cold blue hands. I can't feel anything. fingers are colder than the butter.
Don't worry, Val. Cold hands make good bakers.
So, nice little breadcrumbs. I think that's about right. I don't want to kind of overdo it. Oh, what I've forgotten to do is put my walnuts in the oven. I want to toast mine.
Mind the step.
I made it.
Yeah, well done.
I've got some medjool dates here. They're just a bit more exciting medjool dates. They're bigger, stickier and sweeter than the ones that, you know, come in a little packet. What's the fastest cake in the world? Scone.
Oh dear.
Okay. A bit of a chop. I don't want to put too many bits in it, just a few chewy jewels. Anyway, I'm going to go and check my nuts. Excellent, they're burnt. Fantastic. They're not really burnt at all, I'm just being dramatic.
Well, it's not like you.
Oh, ooh. A handful of warm nuts.
Pardon?
A handful of warm walnuts. It's starting to rain, which is always, you know, encouraging.
No.
I've got 40 grams of sugar here. Okay, I've got a little bit of salt. Not too much. If you don't put salt in, they're just not going to taste that great. And then I'm just going to start adding in milk. I've got 300 mils of milk here. Turn it around the bowl, really make sure it's well distributed. Now I'm going to not put all the milk in because, listening to Susanna this morning, she's heard that a little bit of creme fraiche makes them rather light. In go the walnuts, and in go the dates. Break them up. Okay, I don't want to overwork it, make it dense. So now, I want to roll the pastry out. About 2.5 centimetres. That's a goodie. You're in.
You confident then, Val?
No, not at all. But I've tried, and now I've got to work quickly. I don't want to keep on going on because I want to get my scones in the oven. I've got 7. That should give me a chance to pick a few good ones. I want the tops to be nice and shiny, so I'm going to brush them with milk. I'm going to bake these for 15 minutes, check them, and give them another 5 if they appear a bit dicey. Our little ramp has worked quite nicely. It's really up to the oven again. It's the jaws of death.
While Val's scones bake away, Ed hops in the van to prep for his, bringing out his secret ingredient, which could give him the edge.
The dates are obviously a dehydrated fruit, and I want them to slightly rehydrate, so they've gone into this pot with milk. And frangelica, walnut liqueur. Ooh, that's a bit of a twist. That's it, it's warm enough. Take them off.
Oh, we like a twist, just in time for Val to suss out his scone situation.
So quick look, I might slam the door immediately. Oh my goodness me. They're not great. Right, my scones need another 3 minutes or so.
And 3 minutes later?
I've burnt the edges of my scones, that's not going to be good. I'm going to take the best 4. I might actually put them on their sides, to kind of help prevent shrinkage. Or is that a bit doughy in there?
But they're still cooking.
They're still cooking. Ed's trying to get me out of the competition, but...
I'm not.
No, I know, I'm joking.
After a cheeky taste, Val's happy.
I'm taking a punt. But that is a good scone. It's really, really delicious.
No pressure then, Ed. After coming second to Val at the Stokesley show, Ed really needs to pull out all the stops in his final chance to beat Val, with his frangelico-infused date and walnut scones.
So it's Bainsy's turn. Here we go. Let's zip up first of all, just to make sure I don't get hypothermia. Start off with flour, 450 grams in fact. In it goes. Through the sift, and into that I'm going to add 2 teaspoons heaped of baking powder. 1, 2. Sifting it through. Keep it nice and light.
Ed's not just using frangelico for the dates.
I've got a little bit here to keep me warm.
Any excuse, eh?
It's a bit like amaretto, but it's got this walnutty hint at the back. Next thing I'm going to do is